Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another session of the Easy Dharma for the New Normal, and we're continuing on with the Wheel of Sharp Weapons. And let me see if I'm on. So I hope everybody had a good, nice dinner and ready to read with me the Wheel of Sharp Weapons. Okay, I'm fine. I'm on. Let me put myself to a lower res. All right. As we were talking last week, and there was a mention about refuge, and I thought we will talk about refuge a little bit today before we go into the reading. Okay, so people have to have an understanding. I think a lot of you would know what refuge is. Are you supposed to know? You know why you're supposed to? Everybody should be very, very familiar with what refuge is. If you don't know the commitments and the vows or whatever, it's fine, but at least you know the essence of what it is, because refuge is what defines whether you are a Buddhist or not. If you don't have refuge, this is what it is said in Buddhism. Refuge is what defines whether you're a Buddhist or not. Okay, so refuge is the word refuge is a translation actually in the English language. Okay, I see some people come on. Just now there was nobody. It was a lot of people. Mr. Lam, Martin, good evening to you guys. David, as in David Chu. Sometimes when I call your name, I feel like I'm calling myself. But anyway, welcome. And Esther, Pasanera, of course, Guang Ming, Ngui Ling, Tsa Ong, Miao Ki, Mun Ting, all regulars here. Thank you very much. You're our regular fans. So what happened is we were talking about refuge today, and as usual, when it comes to understanding what it is, you look at its definition first. Refuge, of course, is not what the Buddha, or in Buddhism, what the Indian and the Tibetan masters use. Refuge is a translation naturally because it's an English word. So what happened is refuge comes from the word, was translated from the word sharana, which is has an implication of protection, of surrender. All right, so that's refuge, and the idea about refuge is you first have to understand the etymology, or the meaning of the word. Okay, once you have understanding of the meaning of the word, then you understand what it's about. Because if you don't understand the meaning of the word, then what's it about is hazy. Okay, it's easier when you understand the meaning of the word, then you go into it, then you understand what it is. Otherwise, it's just another Buddhist jargon that we all have to cram our heads with. We already have so much things to remember. But once you know the meaning, it makes the word more meaningful. Okay? So, refuge, it's about protection. It's about surrender. What do we seek protection with? It's with, not, you not seek, no, when we seek refuge with the three jewels, with our guru, we're not protecting ourselves from guru and the three jewels. We are seeking refuge from them, using them as a refuge. The three jewels, the guru, as refuge. Okay, so objects of refuge, in other words. So what is refuge? Refuge is a kind of all of us have some sort of refuge. I mean, this is something taught by Rinpoche a long time ago, and I'm just jogging my memory and telling you based on how Rinpoche explained it. All of us have refuge. We seek refuge in what? Our attachments. We seek refuge in our jobs, because it's a security, it's a pillar in our life. Can you imagine if one day you go to work and your boss fire you, your whole world crumbles down, and you wonder what's going to happen to you. There's a lot of worries that will come to you, and then we worry about this, we worry about that, and we're insecure about this, insecure about that. That's why a lot of us work so hard to maintain our jobs so that we can feed ourselves, dinner on the table, pay our bills, maintain our commitments. So it's a refuge. In a way, it's a refuge in a worldly sense. All right? We have refuge in a sense of first, it's our job, it's our family, um, it's our loved ones, as in a boyfriend, a girlfriend, relative, a godmother, godfather. It's our friends, because that's why some of us we can never go a day without meeting some friends to, to chit chat, to talk about things, about life, coffee, yum cha. That's our refuge. Some of us is TV. For me, it's food. No, just kidding. We seek refuge. It's a point of comfort. It's a point of, when we are down, we need it. When we cannot go a day without it. That sort of, you get an understanding when I say that. So when you understand that, then you bring it to the realm of spirituality. But in spirituality, it's much more than that. It's more than just giving us comfort. It's more than giving security. It's more than that. It is that. It gives us comfort, refuge in the three jewels, and our Guru gives us comfort and security, but much more. All right? So you have that kind of understanding already. So you see, for us, when we go for refuge in the three jewels, it's a kind of an understanding. It comes with a few things, okay? It comes with an understanding of their benefits, in relying in the three jewels, in relying in the Guru. So understanding the benefits and the drawbacks of what we had been relying on before. The previous refuge that we're talking about just now, our jobs, our family, samsara in general, our attachments, there's a lot of drawbacks. So when we understand the drawbacks, we tend to seek a better refuge, a higher refuge, a refuge that will not fail you, that will not, change over time, that will not lead you to higher states of mind, higher achievements, becoming a better person. Okay, higher state of mind, all that means what? Becoming a better person, becoming a better Buddhist, a better practitioner. All right, so that's the thing. Refuge has a quality that inspires you to improve yourself. It's not just, I have faith, that's it. It's not a passive kind of thing. It's an active kind of thing because it inspires you to improve yourself. Because Buddhism is not about seeking an outer how do you say, an outer boon, from I pray to Lama Tsongkhapa Dorje Shukden, they cannot grant me this. That's not refuge. Yes, that is not refuge. But when you rely on Dorje Shukden to overcome is refuge. It is refuge, but on a very small level. Okay? So, but the real meaning of refuge is relying on the three jewels, relying on Guru, so that you improve, you get better. You become a better Buddhist. You become a better son, a better mother, a better child, a better worker, a better colleague, a better friend, a more kinder person. Refuge is supposed to inspire you that. So there is an aspect of refuge it's inspirational. That's where surrender comes in, because surrender, the meaning of the word charana or refuge has the quality of surrender. Actually, the Sanskrit word I read somewhere that it's a surrender as well. So it has that quality of surrender. What do you surrender? You surrender your negative qualities. It's to improve yourself. In order to be happy, not just to be enlightened or to gain attainments, right? It's also to, how do I say this? Also on a level of improving yourself, even on a very worldly sense. Because when we overcome our negative qualities like anger, our impatience and all that, we become a better person. People like us. We'll be more successful. We're better at our jobs. We're better at, social gathering, mingling or getting along with our friends, being a better friend, being a better person. So on that level, refuge can inspire you on that level too, not just on the higher level of this attainments of bodhicitta. We've been talking for weeks and weeks, and I don't know whether you still got the idea what bodhicitta is. Not just on wisdom, compassion, emptiness, all that. It's also on the level of becoming a better person. In order to reach there, you have to reach on a social level, on a practical level, a better person, right? Okay, let me know if you get what I say or don't get what I say. Have any questions, any doubts, let me know. So refuge has this quality of surrender, have this quality of protection, of protecting us. And then you were saying, oh, if I take refuge in the Guru, how does he protect me? How does he protect me from my problems, my difficulties, my work problems, well, you see, for the teachings, the only way that you can improve is when you apply the teachings, and the teachings come from the teacher, right? The teacher through the books, through the blog, YouTube these days, internet, through live streaming. I'm not the guru, but a lot of what I say comes from Rinpoche, so comes to you indirectly. And so what happens is from the wisdom, compassion of the guru flows forth to you. And then what happens is, when you apply these teachings, you become a better person. You improve. What happens when you improve? Your problems get, either it gets eventually solved. Either it's solved immediately or eventually it will dissipate. Because when you become a better person, when you overcome it, when you find solutions, when you handle things better, sometimes there's some issues in life. It's not about, how do I say it? It's not about solving it once and for all. There are some issues that cannot be solved overnight. There are some major things in life that takes time. And sometimes it's not about time, not even about time, sometimes it's about acceptance. Because there are people and situations that cannot change, that we cannot change them. When we cannot change them, we have to come to terms with it. We have to come to accept it, acceptance. Okay, so refuge will help you. So there's many levels of refuge we have to understand, but most importantly is in reliance, refuge. In refuge, when you, let's say, because this whole thing was inspired by a question about whether how if Rinpoche is not around, how is it that we can take refuge? That Rinpoche is not around anymore. You can always take refuge to Rinpoche, not even Rinpoche being in front of you. You can take refuge the moment you hear the Rinpoche's teachings and you decide from your heart to accept Rinpoche as your teacher. Whether Rinpoche is alive or not, it does not matter, because the practice of Guru devotion is from you. It's not from the Guru. The Guru is not devoted to himself, for us to, we are devoted to. It's a practice of devoting to a Guru. So the Guru is a figure at the moment, and he has given us the teachings, the instructions, the advice. He has built up the organization. He has trained his students, senior students, to guide you. I don't really like to say, but like me or many of the pastors, the senior pastors, the HODs, the Changzo, Rinpoche's PA, Bingui, JP. There's many people in the organization that a lot of Rinpoche's teachings, a lot of Rinpoche's influence have rubbed off, and they're able to guide a lot of people, especially in terms of spirituality, right? So when we take refuge in a Guru, in Rinpoche, you do not need Rinpoche to be there. You have to take it you can take him from your heart. Rinpoche has said this before. This is not from me, all right? This is not from me. This is from Rinpoche. So you can take Rinpoche, although Rinpoche is not around anymore, you can take Rinpoche as your teacher from your heart. And then and this is from the point of your practice, from the point of your devotion. All right. There is a formal practice of refuge that all teachers can give to students, where Rinpoche is a ceremony where Rinpoche will request you to invoke. Usually, Rinpoche would use Buddha Shakyamuni, sometimes Lama Tsongkhapa, occasionally Dorje Shun, but mostly Buddha. Okay, he will request the person taking refuge, the refuge taker, not refugee, refuge taker, to invoke the Guru as Buddha Shakyamuni, visualize. And why is that done? It's because we are tapping into the blessings of the lineage, from Rinpoche to his teacher, all the way to the Buddha. All right, so that the blessings will come forth to grant you the blessings of refuge. It's just a formal practice. It's just a formal ceremony to formalize. So once you've taken refuge, you have refuge commitments and all that, and you gain the full benefits of refuge, which protects you from the 3 lower realms, for your next rebirth, and so forth and so forth. Okay, and it is also, most important is that the protection from 3 lower realms. The second thing is it lays the foundation for you to practice higher teachings, tantric practices, like Vajrayogini and so forth. Okay, because in order to get to higher teachings, you need the foundation of refuge. All teachings rest on refuge, because this is something that is taught by the Buddha. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the 3 jewels, and then we'll start. Okay, the 3 jewels, everybody have to understand, is the Buddha, an enlightened being. So we should take refuge in an enlightened being. Once you take refuge, we should maintain refuge, meaning you're in an enlightened being. So when we pray, it's best to always to propitiate only enlightened beings. But if you have taken refuge in unenlightened beings in the past, Rinpoche has this advice. Rinpoche says, don't abandon them, continue. But have an understanding that enlightened being, let's say Dorje Shukden, an enlightened being's refuge is higher than theirs, than an unenlightened being, because they will guide you, they have a clairvoyance to guide you long-term into future lives. They don't. Unenlightened beings, protectors, beings, and so forth, they don't have that kind of clairvoyance to guide you. So sometimes the blessings, whatever, will not be beneficial for you long term. So once you have taken refuge, then relying on a higher being is more important. But that doesn't mean you abandon what you have done, what connections you have with in the past. So Rinpoche said it's all right to continue, but understand the difference. So you understand where your full reliance is. Okay, that's for Buddha. Dharma and Sangha. Dharma is the teachings that the instructions, the practices, the instructions and the teachings from your teacher, from your lineage, from the Lamrim. All right. So these teachings, these practices are the sole purpose. Is not to overcome our problems, is not to help us to be richer, better, successful. It is actually to help us progress on the path to become a better person, a better practitioner, a Buddhist, and ultimately an enlightened being. All right? So that's the sole purpose of the teachings and the practices. And then the Sangha is on a very conventional level, it is monks and nuns. In a spiritual community where there's no monks and nuns, it is your fellow Dharma brothers and sisters. So it's important to understand that. It's important to have Dharma brothers and sisters, especially if you are just starting out in your spiritual path, to be encouraged, to practice together, it's a group. In a very simple way, peer pressure. Or rather, peer pressure is not encouraging, not a good word, sorry. Peer encouragement, inspiration. We practice together. So it's important to be in a spiritual community, to have spiritual friends. Even if you cannot, let's say you cannot be in Kechara Forest Retreat, and you at least have some friends, some spiritual friends you contact from time to time to ask Dharma questions, to talk about Dharma, and life. Of course, over yamcha, over tea. Yeah, of course, right? So that's very important. So the three jewels, this comes together as the three jewels. And in Buddhism, there's this talk over again and again and again. And then also to understand refuge is one of the four opponent powers. Opponent powers. So when you want to purify your karma in practices like Vajrasattva, 35 confessional Buddhas, and so forth, you need to have refuge. You need to have faith in the Buddhas. Okay, then your purification will be effective. All right. Okay, and let's start. Sorry, I went a little bit long on that. So today we'll continue on verse 71 onwards. And I'll try to finish as much as I, if I can, to 85. Shouldn't be a problem. Okay, verse 71. We seek to have homes in monastic seclusion, yet drawn by distractions we venture to town. Discourses we hear teach us most noble practice, yet we spend all our time selling fortunes with dice. Trample him, dance on the head of this treacherous concept of selfish concern, tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. Okay, in this verse, as the previous ones, my suspicion, the Lama who composed this, Dhammarakshita, this Indonesian master, I was told it was Indonesian, it sounds like he's having a vision. So he's one scenario after another scenario. So this is where he's talking about people who are monks and nuns. And when you are monks and nuns, the main purpose of being a monk and nun is to be in seclusion, meaning to be in the monastery, doing your practice, doing Dharma, doing pujas, and not to go out and have fun, not to go out and to gamble, to drink, to shop, and always going again and again and again. Not that monks and nuns can't do, well, gambling of course cannot, but going out, because once you go out, you keep going out, then what happens is it's not very good, not just from the view of the public, it's also not very good from their practice because it's distraction. Okay, because the sole purpose of being a monk and nun is a method for us to practice, all right, to be away from attachments. So instead of going away, we're getting closer to attachments. That's the main point of this. Instead of going away from attachments, away from shopping, away from beautiful girls, away from beautiful boys for nuns, away from what else? Cars, away from all these things, vice and so forth. We're going towards it. Then it's not good. All right. So that's why the third and fourth line says, discourses we hear teach us most noble practice, yet we spend all our time telling fortunes with dice. So instead of dwelling on the teachings, meditating, doing practices, teaching others, inspiring others, hanging out with people to inspire them, we instead, we do things that are not good, like using Dharma to commit negative karma, telling people, doing divination and all that. Because there are some monks and nuns who do that, to use Dharma in order to get money. So that's what it's about. All right. So next verse 72. We give up monks' vows. The true path to gain freedom. We would rather be married, have children and homes. We cast to the wind this rare chance to be happy and pursue further suffering, more problems and woes. Trample him, dance on the head of this treacherous concept of selfish concern. Tear out the heart of the self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. So this is for monks and nuns who have abandoned their monastic vows, all right? So this is something what Rinpoche said about such things. Rinpoche said that when you become a monk or nun, your motivation must be very, very sure. That's why Rinpoche has, for the people who wants to be monks and nuns in Kechara, Rinpoche has put them on a kind of a probationary period where they wear white and they have their hairs cut and to live a life and demeanor of a monk or nun. All right, so it's to train them, to prepare them, so that when they put on the robes, it's just second nature, because they've been doing it for years already. All right, so because of that, they must be sure of their motivation, because if their motivation is not good, as in it should be a higher motivation, it should be either you see the drawbacks of samsara, of a lay life, this is what Rinpoche said, or if you have a motivation of benefiting others, which is another fantastic one. It cannot be a motivation that because you fail in life, because this is what a lot of people nowadays say, they have failed in life, so they've decided to do spirituality. Not good. That is not a good motivation, actually, in Buddhism. That's a very bad motivation to be a monk or nun, because it's escapism. So when you're escaping from, because you can't face you failed, so you escape to something else to hide, then it's a bad motivation to be monk. In fact, people with bad doesn't mean that this person is harmful. It's bad because it will not sustain the person to be a monk, a nun. There'll be a lot of, because you must understand, when you become a monk or nun, you're generating a lot of merits. It's so much merits that 7 generations, Rinpoche said, 7 generations, the merits and blessings will go down in your family, for 7 generations. So what it means is, don't quote me, but that's why I remember the number, 7 generations. What it means is there's so much benefit, okay, from being a monk or nun. The merit. So what happens is because it's so good that it takes a lot of merit to sustain being a monk or nun. You need to have the right motivation. If you do not have right motivation, you don't have the merit to continue. It's true. It's really, this is what Rinpoche said. He has observed this in a monastery. He observed this many times, especially in countries like Malaysia, where it is not the norm for people to be monks and nuns. And when they take it with the wrong motivation, they cannot maintain. All right? Okay, let me see. I've seen some comments, I think. Okay, Sharon Ong says, to be around like-minded friends will help us in our spiritual journey, as they can provide us not just support, but also become a source of inspiration. Very nice, Sharon. Yeah, that's we take refuge in the Sangha, basically. And then waiting, hello, good evening. And Sharon says, is giving back monks' vows the same as giving up monks' vows? Giving back, no, it's not the same. One is disrobing. One is you return the vows. Apparently there is, according to the Vinaya, there is a certain amount of times you can properly return the vows without breaking it, and then taking it back at a later time. And usually it is for situations where they need to work or something like that. I am not an expert in the Vinaya or the monastic vows, because I'm not allowed to see it as a lay person. But this is what I remember Rinpoche had mentioned before. All right, so it's different. Rinpoche said there are some Rinpoches in the past who return the vows respectfully. So for example, I think Chujang Rinpoche is one of them. He returned his vows. But he had a higher purpose. He's not an ordinary person, okay? So, but for an ordinary person also can do that. You can return the vows, but you must not break the vows. Disrobing is breaking the vows, all right? When you break the vow, there's a number of core vows, which includes chastity. How do I say chastity? Like, as in celibacy vows, not chastity. There are 4, is it? Yeah, there are 4 root core vows that you cannot break. All right, so once you break them, you are considered disrobed for this entire life, this lifetime, that is. So next life, of course, is a reset, everything. So 4 core vows, if you break them, you're considered disrobed. You cannot take them again. Okay, so that they have a different word. That's why the English translation is disrobing when you break the core vows, and the other is returning the vows. Right? Okay, where was I? Oh yes, about monks and nuns. So you have to have the right motivation, and there's one more thing I want to say. Oh, for people who disrobe, okay, this is different now. This is for people who disrobe. The karma is very heavy. Let me say the karma for the person who disrobe is heavy, and the person who induced the person to disrobe. Usually disrobing is, I think what Rinpoche is talking about is usually when someone seduced the nun or the monk, and then they go off and decide to become husband and wife and all that, right? The karma is considered is highly inauspicious and is not good in the in Buddhism, all right. Why? It's because they're on a path, right? And you became the cause for them. You became like Mara, in other words, to tempt them away, and you were kind of successful in that sense for their vows. So a lot of people so I can equate that for a lot of people. I think in this sense, right, you can equate it to people who give up the Dharma. It's not the same. It's totally different, but it goes along the same ways. When you give up the Dharma and you disrobe, you give up the Dharma, most of the time they'll go into samsara deeper. Their attachments become stronger. Same thing. Because the merits is no longer there to sustain. All right? Okay, let's go to the next verse. Discarding our practice to reach liberation, we drift about searching for pleasure or trade. We have obtained human bodies with precious endowments, yet use them to gain only hellish rebirths. Trample him, dance on the head of this treacherous concept of selfish concern. Tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. You see, all of this, the cause is your self-cherishing mind. It's just another manifestation. In other words, it's not. It is just you believing that it will bring you happiness, but it does not. All right? So in this sense, it's what actually it hits on what I was talking about. I'm equating, right, disrobing and people who leave the Dharma. Coincidentally, this verse is talking about it. Discarding our practice to reach liberation, giving up Dharma. We drift about searching for pleasure or trade. So, you see, when you leave the Dharma, what happens is, this is from experience now, okay? From what I've seen, observed. People who leave the Dharma, they'll constantly find a justification that they're doing something right. They will find justification, and they will always try to perhaps tell people, show people that they make the right decision. Perhaps telling themselves sometimes, trying to tell themselves that they made the right decision. So they'll go and enjoy life. They'll go on holidays. They will make it seem like life is so good. So they're dwelling in their what do you call it? Their pleasure or trade. Work. That they're so successful in their work and all that. So, but what happens is, instead of being successful and all that, they're committing more and more karma. Create deeper into samsara, deeper into their attachments. Eventually, it will catch on. Okay, I have some questions here. Penny Tan Chai Wei. Hi, Pastor. What happened to probationary monks and nuns at Kechara, KFR moving forward since since Rinpoche has passed on? What's the direction from them now? They will be, because right now we are very busy in Kechara. We are working on the Stupa project. We are working on all these projects. But it is on track for them to be monks and nuns. It's just that they have to make a decision, and they're being evaluated, and then from there on they would move on to be ordained. All right. So it is moving on track. Miaoki, can you please advise whether it is acceptable to recite few mantras daily or concentrate on a single mantra? Example like 108 times of Om Mani Padme Hum, Medicine Buddha mantra, Guru Padma Sambhava Manjushri mantra 2, or just recite a specific mantra. I'm not sure whether this is the correct way or not. Please advise for my ignorance. Actually, I do not advise you to recite so many mantras, Miyaoki. Actually, a lot of the mantras you can combine it in just, not combining as in recite all. What I mean combining mean just do Guru Yoga and Mixema. Especially Mixema, which combines Om Mani Padme Hum, which combines, what do you do? Medicine Buddha, Guru Padma Manjushri, all that. You'll combine many of them already, so you don't have to do so many. All right, so I recommend Guru Yoga and Lama Tsongkhapa's Mixema mantra for you. And then if you feel that Medicine Buddha and all that is not enough, Guru Rinpoche, you want to do additional, you can, but actually it's already included, not necessary. Perhaps the only thing you might want to add to a Guru Yoga Mixema would be actually Dorje Shugden's mantra. All right, so unless you have been given specific instructions from Rinpoche or any monk or a teacher that you have, a Rinpoche that I'm not aware of, then their advice to you is overrides mine. But right now, my advice to you would be to just do just focus on Guru Yoga Mixema, all right, and maybe just Dorje Shugden. That's it, easy. That's what Rinpoche recommends for all of us. All right. Okay. Alex says, for those that has drifted apart from Dharma, would it be right to say that it also depends on their ripening of their good karma, whatever is left of it, manifesting to hopefully bring them back to it? Okay, for those who have left the Dharma, well, of course, it's whether sometimes they have residual karma, they have from their previous practice or from their previous lives that will reconnect them. If their karma is strong, it will reconnect them in this life. If their karma is not strong, then perhaps there will be another life. The thing about merit in relation to the three jewels, if any merit has been generated, any imprint has been planted, not just merit, imprint has been planted, it will surface again. The only thing is when. The question is when. When the conditions are right, we don't know. So it will be only a Buddha, a clairvoyant mind will know when. So when we are in the Dharma now, it's very important to plant as much imprints in our minds as possible, collect as much merits as possible, so that there's so much, our ground is so fertile, our ground is so fertile that the moment, let's say when we pass on, the next life, we'll come back again, and we will come back again and we'll meet the Dharma early. Or let's say if we get separated from the Dharma for whatever negative karma that have arisen, we get reconnected. So when you have a lot of merits, a lot of imprints, that is possible. All right? Anything is possible. All right. Okay, where am I? Next verse. Verse 74. Ignoring effects that the teachings can bring us, we travel on business for profit and gain. Leaving behind all our Guru's wise lectures, we tour different places in search of some fun. Trample him, dance on the head of concern. Tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. Ooh, this one is this one is for people who will sting a little bit, for people who like to travel. This is about traveling. But there's a difference, okay? So what happens is, what's the difference? There are some people who travel to escape, who travel looking for another place to go, another thing to do, and instead of, and this is specific for people when you found Dharma, then usually what happens is when you found Dharma and you're practicing and you understand Dharma, it's not that you don't travel anymore or you lessen your travel just because you found Dharma. It's not. It's that you're lessening your attachments. So if your attachment is traveling, you will lessen it over time. In fact, when you get older, the older you are, you know what people say? I've heard many people give this advice to old people. Oh, you're in your twilight years, go see the world, enjoy life, right? Actually, in Dharma, when you have wisdom, Dharma wisdom, you don't do that. You don't see the world, waste your time because you have limited time. Do as much as possible to do retreats, practices, do Dharma work, volunteer, make offerings. You can travel, is not cannot travel. I'm not saying can or cannot. I'm saying don't just go into it and just enjoy life and waste the time. The time will be wasted. As a Dharma practitioner for many years, I this is what I really recommend the older people with the deepest respect. I know I'm younger. I usually tell you, oh no, don't travel. But the idea about traveling, it shouldn't be taking up all your time, because some people they go one holiday to another. In a year they can travel 5-6 times. Every month, every other month is another new place to travel. And anyway, actually this really don't really apply right now because traveling is not allowed. But I'm really sure when traveling is allowed, you'll go back just pretty much like before. So it's not about traveling. Please understand this verse. It's about our attachment to it. It's about redwelling on attachment and wasting the time. And one more thing about attachment is that it is an attachment when we can travel and we do travel, it becomes, oh, we'll enjoy so much, and then we come back and we think about the next trip, we plan the next trip, and that's all. It consumes our time, it consumes our effort, and it wastes the time because it ultimately, especially when we get older, it's meaningless. It's meaning you just collect a whole bunch of albums full of travel pictures of different places and a fridge full of magnets from from various countries you visited, a cupboard full of souvenirs, and that's it, and some memories of these places. And then when it's forgotten over time. It's forgotten, and it's a lot of time and effort wasted and money. So it's not about not traveling, it's about understanding the attachment to it and lessening it. All right? Younger. Very funny, Kelvin. Okay, anyway, let's carry on. Verse 75. Okay, that's not 74, right? Yeah. We hoard what we have, never willing to use it, and leech all our food and our clothing from friends. We leave aside wealth from our father's inheritance, taking from others as much as we can. Trample him, dance on the head of this treacherous concept of selfish concern, tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. So what happens is, in this verse, you are the user, you are the hoarder. You hoard meaning you keep all your money and all your possessions tightly locked, unused at home, and then you go out, and using people, borrowing, lending, and then finding ways to, avoid paying, using basically a Scrooge lah, a miser, a Scrooge. And that's not good, because usually a hoarder has a complex lah. Well, I won't go into it because it doesn't not exactly related. In this case, it's about using people. It's about using people when you yourself have whatever you need, but you rather leech on someone else, use someone else's instead of your own. And of course, the other person doesn't know. All right. So this is a manifestation of a self-cherishing mind who is out to use. So when you're out to use people, when you see people not for who they are, you see people what they can do for you, what they can help you with, how they can benefit you, then that's very bad. Then it's self-cherishing mind, and you're just setting up yourself for suffering, because it will only last so much. Some people will go, good people will go, nasty people will stay, and we get our due, because you use them, they use you. I know it sounds so doomsday and so negative. I'm so sorry, but this is the tone at this point of the. So don't look at it as from the standpoint of, oh, it sounds bad, it's so depressing. Look at the standpoint. This is the truth. Yes, this is the truth. We can be like that. We are like that. Sometimes some of us, we don't realize we are like that. And when we know it can be like that, or we are like that, then we know what we should do. We should take steps to avoid it, take steps to be a better person. Instead of taking from people, using people, we give back, we help people. Instead of cherishing ourselves, we cherish others, we help people, we do our best, right? We start to practice. But all this starts when we've realized, we've gained some sort of understanding, realization in our own, with our own manifestation of self-cherishing mind. Because a lot of the time we don't realize we're cherishing ourselves. We think it's just survival. Okay, so that's for verse 75. Oh, I'm going on a roll now. Verse 76. It's amazing how little endurance we have to do meditation, and yet we pretend to have gained special powers so others are fooled. We never catch up with the paths of deep wisdom, yet run here and there in needless great haste. Trample him, dance at the head of this treacherous concept of selfish concern, tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. So we don't have much practice. We are not much attainments, not much practice. What happens is not much practice, never mind. We pretend we do. We go on telling people, oh, I see this. I have this dream. I have this realization. Oh, emptiness is like this. Oh, Rinpoche said this, we use the Dharma instead of inspiring people to guide them. We use them to gain their trust. So that why we gain and trust, some of us, it's about you just like it. You just like that people look up to you for advice. People look up to you for as you are the senior Dharma brother or sister, and then you can use them to help to do whatever Dharma work you have in mind. So yes, even if it's Dharma work in your mind, but you're only using Dharma to hook them because you enjoy that control that it gives you. All right. So even Dharma can be used that way, and we shouldn't do that. We should always have a motivation to help people, to give Dharma without an expectation that you will get something from it. All right. So this is a very tricky bit. I know some of you are thinking what already. Some of you think that how do you solicit donations and yeah, it's true. So what happens is that's why when you give the Dharma, it shouldn't be, because you give Dharma and then you expect donation. It's very bad. It's very bad to have that in mind, because you're selling, in other words, you're selling the Dharma. And when you sell the Dharma, you have no effect. When you may be a very good orator, you speak so well, you have such presence like Rinpoche, but it's about the money that you get. And worse, if that money is, you put some in the pocket. Of course, I don't think any of us do that. I hope not, because it's very heavy negative karma. All right? But basically, this part is about showing off, using the Dharma, pretending to have some sort of attainments in order to gain some sort of benefit in terms of trust. Usually people don't immediately, they tell, I have attainment. They're not looking for money lah. Sometimes it's just about face. It's just about looking good, right? Because a lot of us love to tell our dreams. I have this dream of Rinpoche. I have this dream of Rinpoche. We're so excited. And actually, I understand that, and we shouldn't have such a huge complex about it. But understand that it's also not. It shouldn't be something we share around like hot gossip. It is nice if you have a dream, and it is good to let people know, especially the the Ladrang people or like the Rinpoche's PA, so that if it's of any significance, it can be investigated later. So, but it shouldn't be something that we use to impress people. Oh, I have this dream, I have that dream, I have Rinpoche's dream. I saw Dorje Shukden, I saw Vajrayogini, she came in my dream, told me the future. Things like that lah. All right. Usually when you have auspicious dreams, it's not something that you go around telling a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of us will have and have already, gained some sort of dream of Rinpoche. It's nice to tell a few people, but don't go around like, spreading it like hot gossip. It kind of devalues the sanctity or the spirit. So, but ultimately, what happens is you're boosting your ego, actually. Unfortunately, this is what this is saying. So, I'm not trying to put you down or make you feel any guilt here. If you do, my apologies. But this is what it's about. And more importantly, is never use the Dharma to control people, never use the Dharma to use people or to gain some sort of benefit. That's the actual meaning, all right? Okay, next one. Someone gives us advice from the depths of his heart, which is for our own good, but is harsh to our ears, like what I just said. And with anger, we view him as if he is our foe. Please don't view me. Yet when someone without any true feelings for us deceitfully tells us what we like to hear, without taste or discernment, we are kind in return. Trample him, dance on the head of this treacherous concept of selfish concern, tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. This is a very kind of a longer elaboration of what was said before in the previous teaching, which is summed up in a very short line, which is, the short line was what? When people say something to you, listen to the message, not the tone. Because a lot of times, a person who tells us something that's beneficial is harsh to our ears. Okay, it's harsh to our ears because it may be, the truth is usually harsh. It's difficult to hear. So when it's the truth, whether the person has a motivation to help us or not, most of the time, no, they don't. Or they do, but it's only partial because they're just irritated, to the max about a negative quality that we have, some bad habit, something that we repeat again and again and again, So that's why when we don't like what we hear, we listen to the message. Be objective about it. It's not easy. Usually it's not easy, especially if you have not much experience with hearing things, especially in Asia where we are more reserved and we are more politically correct, and it's about what is pleasant to the ears, what is polite is being said usually. So what happens is when it's the truth, it's not easy, it's not nice. All right, so the point is whether it's correct, whether it can be applied. The good advice, unpleasant words where we don't like. So hence, that's why the one-liner, listen to the message, not the tone. Because when you listen to the message, even when it's delivered in a harsh way, even the motivation is bad, but if it's correct, then you should apply it. We should do something about it. Because the tone is something that usually, we don't like it because it's bitchy. We don't like it because it's said the words we don't like to hear. All right? So this is something that is with regards to what we hear. Okay? With advice people give you, that is good. We don't like here, and then we treat them like an enemy. We should not. We shouldn't treat anybody like an enemy, actually, ultimately. So that's why it's easy for misunderstanding to happen, because people always listen to the tone of voice. People always are affected by words. Hence, disagreement happens. Hence, arguments happen. So in this verse, it's talking about someone who's genuine. But in reality, most people don't have 100% genuine altruism unless it's from Rinpoche, or your parent, or someone who really care for you. Like most of the time, people give mixed feelings, lah. All right. So whatever it is, whether they have they have other ulterior motives, but when we examine the words, whether it applies to us, and then we find that it does to a certain extent, then we should calm ourselves down and reflect. Do the breath meditation. Right? Don't be so easily caught up by the tone of the voice or the words itself. All right? This is what it's trying to say. Okay, next one. When others consider close and dear friends and relate in strict confidence all they know, we disclose their deep secrets, especially to their foes. When we have a good friend who is constantly with us, we locate his weak points so we can torment him, trample him, dance on the head of this treacherous concept of selfish concern, tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. So this is someone who cannot keep secrets and who is very loose-tongued, So, and you purposely actually reveal it. In this case, this person is not nice. Purposely really tell it to people who will do something nasty once they know your secrets, right? So this is with regards to in its life lah. In a sense that we have especially out in the world where not everybody is like in Kechara or in like a Buddhist center, not everybody is spiritual. And worst of all is there are some people who are spiritual, superficially spiritual, but their behavior is not spiritual. Especially, sometimes people come into the Dharma, they just come in, they have not fully embraced the teachings and not fully understand everything about themselves and improve on themselves to a point where they can do things like that. And so sometimes we have to have understanding also. When we encounter people like that, we have the understanding. If we are like that, we have to have an even deeper understanding. All right. If we are someone who cannot be trusted and who is loose tongue, who goes around, I think nobody will admit, but this is something you have to be honest. All right. And with yourself. You don't have to do it with people, but with yourself. If you have done it in the past and you have deep regrets, it is good. You have no regrets, it's very bad. Because there's some people who have no regrets of what they did. Sometimes it's a revenge thing, sometimes it's jealousy. Whatever it is, the karma is heavy. The karma will come back to us and we will get it. All right? So in this case, it's about whether we can be trusted. Whether we have that integrity. It's about integrity here. And the other part is of a different sort. We are the type of person who likes to pinpoint people's weaknesses and use it against them, especially among friends. So we are kind of like a frenemy. I've just learned this term, frenemy, a friend and an enemy. About a couple of months, not just. But anyway, so you are a frenemy. So it's you, you will locate people's weakness, and then you will use that against them. So that this person, maybe this person's lazy. So we always push them around, say things that are nasty, bitchy, to irk them, to poke them, because. The point about this manipulation, it's manipulation. The point of manipulation is manipulation. The point about this is manipulation. The idea is, why do you want to poke someone so that you can get something out of it? Sometimes there are some people who enjoy controlling people, which is true. And then there are some people who do it for a reason. Perhaps to get someone to help you do things. Someone who can use. Someone who can do things for us. Someone who can benefit us in one way or another, So the frenemy is not so simple, it sounds like a cute little term, frenemy, but huge self-cherishing. So if we are like that, or we know people like that, if we know people like that, we can't do much. We cannot do much in the sense, in the Dharma, it is understanding and have forbearance. If we are like that, then we have to stop it immediately. Right? In Buddhism, it's not about right or wrong, it's about being skillful or unskillful. I remember this was taught in one of the Lamrim classes in the past. It's about being skillful and unskilled. So this whole thing is not about what's right, what's wrong. This whole thing is about what's being skillful, what is beneficial long term rather than short term. Because a lot of what we're talking about here is about short term benefit. It's about gaining some sort of short term benefit against someone, an advantage over someone, But long term is highly unbeneficial. Is that such a word? I don't know. Not beneficial. Bad for us, bad for our karma, bad for our friendship, our relationship, and all that. Okay, I have some comments here. Verse 78 seems to be similar to breaking one of the 10 refuge vows of not having idle chatter. Is this similar? Not having idle chatter. You mean idle chatter as one of the speech? Yeah. Verse 78, which one was it? No, it's not. It's different. Idle chatter is different in the sense idle chatter is about people. As the word says, when we engage in non-stop chattering of there's no consequence. We are gossiping. It's a gossiper. A gossiper is not specifically tormenting someone. A gossiper is someone who revels in just talking about people. And sometimes, most of the time, it's negative. That's why it's bad. Most of the time, because you know why it's negative? Because if you're going to praise someone, it is boring. It is boring. Is there any industry you see, like, magazines that talk about praising propaganda? I mean, there is such thing, in China, there's propaganda and all that. Okay, rather not China, but anyway, in general, there's some countries. There's some places there's propaganda. But my point is, there's a whole industry that promotes gossip. And that gossip is about negative things that happen to celebrities. Okay, so it's a whole industry. So people enjoy it, people revel in it. So when we sit down and talk, we always tend to talk about negative things about people, which is not good. So instead of, if I tell you, cut it out completely, that's ridiculous, because all of us are social people. We need to talk, unless you plan to go for a silent retreat for 3 months, 3 days, and 3 years. If you're not, you will definitely talk with someone, and somehow it will slip into your conversation. So most important to understand this, because it's about talking negative about someone. When we realize we are talking about someone and we are dwelling on the negative qualities of this one, we always have to. This is something I've learned from Rinpoche. He didn't teach me consciously, but this is something I noticed that Rinpoche does. When Rinpoche is talking negative about someone, yes, there are occasions when Rinpoche is discussing about people, of his students, he's looking for solutions to help them. So he has to analyze their negative qualities, okay? So he will talk about it. He'll always balance with something positive. I've always seen it, Rinpoche has done it. So this is something that can help for people who like to gossip, like to do idle chatter and all that, all right? There's a more practical way to address it than rather just have silent retreat. I mean, if you can do it, it's wonderful. There's more benefits than just cutting off idle chatter. Right? Okay, but that's besides the point. The point is about manipulating people, using people, but tormenting the person because you know their weak points, to use them or to get them back, whatever it is. All right? Verse number 79. Our jealousy is strong, and whatever is said, we are always the skeptic. We doubt what is meant. We are fussy, bad-tempered, and hard to get on with, inflicting obnoxious behavior on others. Trample him, dance on the head of this treacherous concept of selfish concern, tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. You know, when we are jealous, it makes us highly competitive. Yes, it makes us highly competitive with people, especially people we are jealous with. So when we are with people we are jealous with, this is something kind of like a personal experience with people who are jealous. What happens is they are always looking to outshine you. They want to say things first. They want to give. If let's say there's someone, like another friend, they're trying to impress, so they will try to give suggestions quick, fast. They will try to say something to shine from, or they will shine or look better than you, or they will try to say things that would make you look bad. They'll plant hints. So, in other words, when you are in this kind of social occasion, conversation with this person, right, it's very difficult. It's very competitive, and when I read this, immediately I thought of that. When your jealousy is strong, whatever is said, we're always a skeptic. We always doubt what is meant. We are fussy, bad-tempered, and hard to get on with. We're hard to deal with. We're obnoxious. We're inflicting obnoxious behavior on others. So we can't get along with people when we are jealous, when we are insecure. The point about jealousy is we are insecure. We're insecure about ourselves because we think, other people are better, and we don't like that. We want to be better. So what happens is we become jealous, and we do all sorts of things to outshine others. Sometimes to a point of very petty, like pointing out people's physical flaws. There are some people who do that. So the point about this is jealousy. The point about it is the competitive streak. The competitive streak is not about winning. It's about looking better, looking good, looking superior, getting some sort of praise from someone else that, they'll outshine you. Okay? This is my experience lah. The point is jealousy is not good. Okay? When you are jealous, it compels you to always say things that are nasty. It compels you to do things, to negative things, saying things that are negative. In this case is just only in the realm of just what we say. But there are some people who, out of jealousy, will do nasty things to win the competition, to overcome the competition, to defeat the competition. All right? Jealousy will drive you to do that. So do not reach that point. Okay? I don't think many of us will reach a point where we will, we are so competitive we will do that. But some of us do. And probably we have encountered people who are like that in the office, in the workspace, in business, in the business arena, where it's extremely competitive, and it is without doubt that no point going and giving them a Dharma talk about jealousy and all that. Just understand it and not be affected by it, and find ways to overcome it. And if we can't overcome it, we have to address it from within first. How are we dealing with it? In a sense that, are we affected by it? Okay, so because you see, in Buddhism, it's very simple. There are a lot of situations, as I said earlier, there are a lot of situations, sometimes we cannot change the world, people outside. Instead of changing the world, we have to change ourselves and our perspective of things. So if we let the world affect who we are inside, then our practice is not strong, our refuge is not strong. So what happens is we have to assess for ourselves how much damage we get, when we go out and people inflict on us, and by the things they say, the rumors they say, the things people do to hurt us, because they're jealous, because they're competitive, because they want something from you that you're not giving. Whatever scenario can be, there are some situations we cannot change, and if we cannot change, then we don't change. It's not possible to make the whole world. This is what Shanti Deva said, which applies for this scenario. Shanti Deva, which is an Indian Pandit, master, great master, said, you cannot sweep the whole world of pebbles, of stones, of rocks, of sharp objects. You cannot. How are you going to sweep the whole world? It's impossible. So what you do is be smart. Put on sandals. Of course, he didn't say be smart. This is not verbatim, okay? I'm just making it modern, but the meaning is put on sandals. What is sandals? It's our mind. It's how we deal with the situation. We have to put on understanding. We have to put on forbearance. Forbearance means patience. When we understand the situation for what it is, don't exaggerate things. So it's very important for us to assess the world, to assess situations based on what it is and deal with it. There are some things cannot be changed. We cannot keep on hoping things will change, praying the donation that the world will be swept clean of everything, of evil and nasty people. It's impossible. We have karma. Because our karma is so strong, there's only donation is not there to completely remove all our karma. He will not be able to do it. We have to do the work. So in practicing, we'll definitely come across negative karma, come across negative situations, negative people. All right. So if we practice donation, we have an added advantage, of course. All right, so we are on verse 79. Okay, I don't think I can reach 85, so I'll reach 80. All right, my last verse is, when someone requests us to do something for him, we are never obliging, but think up instead. Clever, devious methods to do him some harm. When others concede and agree with our viewpoint, we do not acquiesce, we argue still more. Trample him, dance on the head of this treacherous concept of selfish concern, tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. We are not an easy person. This is what he's saying. We're not an easy person. We are deliberately not helping this person, whoever it is, and instead we retaliate with things of with devious schemes, with ways to get back at the person. Why do we want to get back at this person? Perhaps you have a history of this person. Perhaps this person is your superior. Perhaps this person has done you some harm in the past. So we want to retaliate. Or some of us are full of anger. We cannot control ourselves. Sometimes there's no reason whatsoever from this person. It's just from ourselves because we are full of anger and that whatever the person said had triggered it in us and we want to get back. The word is similar, or the word addresses something we don't like to hear, or just the appearance. Sometimes it's just appearance, and whatever it is a manifestation of our self-cherishing, extremely deep self-cherishing mind. We're only thinking about ourselves, and we want to get back to the person, and we somehow rope in people. It says here, when others concede and agree with our viewpoint, we rope them in to get back at this person. We say things to make the person look bad, to make the person, to manipulate other people to go against this person. Because we are not happy with this person, whatever. It doesn't say what is the reason, but we are doing that. But obviously, it's because there's a history. Obviously, for obvious reasons, it will be someone who is, who has done us something, who said something, whatever it is. But whatever is done and said in the past does not justify our actions, because once we do that, he did it to us, we do it back to him, it never ends. And then he gets affected, he gets angry, it goes back. Even if he doesn't do it, perhaps if it's something a huge, like he made your family go bankrupt and you're very angry with this person, and this person came to ask you to do something, for example, right? So maybe you can, the circle doesn't come back in this life, but it will come back one way or another. So it never ends, this self-cherishing, this way of cherishing yourself and what you need over others, what your priorities, your ego, your jealousy, in order to get back this person, right? So I will stop here. All right, it is getting very heavy in this part of the wheel of sharp weapons. It is talking about various manifestations of our mind, of behavior, on how we get back at people, how we manipulate people, how we don't agree with doing things in order to, it's all mental in the sense that it all arises from the mind. It all arises from this part of the mind that thinks that when we do these things is an advantage to us. Or worst of all, if we're so angry, we just cannot help it. We're so jealous, we cannot help it. There are some cases. I'm sure all of us experience it. We are so overwhelmed with the emotions when something triggers us, which is not the real reason for why we feel it. Like when we're very jealous about this person, just a mere mention of this person's name we lose our temper. We will scream and shout and all that. We go berserk. Maybe we're not like that in a sense that we cannot control, but we will find ways. There are some people who cannot control in the sense that they will blurt it out. They will say things, they will do things, they will retaliate. There are some people who are very calculated. So they will find ways to get back at the person through a very long, roundabout way, silently and deviously. So whichever way it is, it does not matter because there's karma. All right, and I will end here at verse 80. And for of the wheel of sharp weapons, and I hope to finish this off soon. So what happens is when we come to the end of the wheel of sharp weapons, I have to think of what's next. So if you have any suggestions, let me know of what you would like to discuss and together of a topic, of a particular aspect of the teachings that you would like me, and I will assess. I will see how, right? I am open to whatever you have in mind. Okay, just let me know. For all of you guys who perhaps you want to learn about a particular teaching. All right. Thank you very much, and we'll do dedication now. Janjo Central Rinpoche, Maki Pana Gigushe, Kebaya Mami Payang, Gone Go to Power Show, Tony Tonga Rinpoche, Maki Pana Gigushe, Kebaya Mami Payang, Gone Go to Power Show, Dazochin Sapagiwadi, Tanandroa Gonla Campata, Cheba Jozo Lozon Drapa, Tamping Gorindo, Sa She Show, Kewa Gundo Yana Lamada, Jami Joki Pala Long Choshi, Sada Langi on Tenrachoni, Doji Changi Gopan Yuto Show, Kewadi Yudoda, Lama Sangye Juni, Chuashika Malupa, De Sala Gopasho, Chijapa Songapa. Chosonama Pewala, Keki Shamashiwadan, Tuni Maloshansho, Dadan Shenge Dosundan, Jewish Letini, Giawa Lawson Trapa, Tamparing Vagushi, Nimo Della Santa Light, Nemiko and Delection, Yasantatu Della Pel, Contrason Jingulo, Contrasori Motoso, Contrasori Tashi, Jason Lama Kusora Tunshi, Namkachin Jogi Padan, Lawson Tambi Jomi Samsungi, Drumusatato, Negushi, Gandhi Rawe, Koi Shingam, Penendel, Malokian, Cherezik Wantanzin Kasui, Sharp City Badu Dan Gushi, Hong Tomping or Drumalu. Dene Dala Sariso, Gordon Temple Lochunam, Geva, Suji, Shukten Cell. Thank you and good night.